Hi YouTube, this is my second video of trying to document how I feel about the world and just to kind of keep a diary of what I think about everything. I would imagine that the title of this video is going to be something along the lines of ideology and hatred, or ideology and entrenchment, something like that. And I just kind of want to talk about how discourses around the world, how people deal with each other when it comes to perspectives, how things are kind of just discussed. And I do understand that I don't see everything. We are almost always, unless we really search it out, going to only see the side of the story that is presented to us through our algorithm, or if you watch it on TV or something like that, then you see what the TV show wants you to see, the same as the algorithm makes you see what it wants you to see. So moving forward, I do feel like at the moment things are just kind of, like I said, entrenched. When I was growing up, to give an example, when I was 12, Labour won a general election in the UK with Tony Blair. Now, we obviously know further down the line that he was not a good person, but at the time when he won the election, people were singing in the streets, everyone was talking about how amazing life was going to be. But even from what I remember, the conversations around politics, get a bit heated, but they were level-headed, shall we say. And to give an example from the other side of the Atlantic, in my vague memory of it, when Barack Obama was campaigning for the presidency, he had reasonable discussions with people, and they actually spoke to each other about the matters that concerned them at all times. And I feel like now there's much more of a degree of, today, when I look at political discussion in many different parts of the world, it is really like enemies now. There doesn't seem, don't get me wrong, this isn't 100% of the conversation, of the discussion. There's so much shouting and finger pointing, and I do feel, certainly when it comes to Britain and America, that there's hatred. Now, I can give you an example. When I first moved in with my girlfriend a few years ago, we met our new neighbours at the local pub, and the guy was just stood there drinking, enjoying himself. And I can't remember how it happened, but we started talking vaguely about politics, and he just turned to me and he went, "You're fucking Labour, aren't you?" Well, I actually wasn't, but it was the way that he said it. And that, compared to some of the stuff that goes on these days, is really tame. But it is, like I say, it's that entrenchment. It's us versus them. Now, I understand that people have their perspectives, they have their ideologies. We need to start meeting in the middle. Politics should be a reasonable, nuanced discussion to a certain extent. We're supposed to be benefiting everyone, not just our side. Everyone wants their side to win, but that doesn't mean that you've got to stick it to the other guy. You want your party to win because you agree with their policies, but you want those policies to help everyone, not just you. Just because someone doesn't agree with you doesn't mean that you need to persecute them or alienate them or other them or deride them. Don't get me wrong, I have done plenty of deriding myself. I am just the same as anyone else. I can lose my temper, I get very frustrated. People argue about stuff. People disagree all the time. But You don't need, like, if you disagree, discuss, don't argue. Because a lot of people, they're not listening. They're waiting for their turn, or they're waiting to get a gotcha or something like that. I don't want to argue with people. I will work so hard to avoid confrontation, but now you see so many people that they just want to get like a viral clip, or they want to be like, aha, you said that thing and I can prove this. Like, nobody benefits from that, because if you show someone you've got a gotcha, they're just gonna kind of like, you know, curl up, get defensive, and you're not gonna have a productive conversation, shall we say. I will say that there's obvious like examples of, you know, what I want to talk about, but I want to try to avoid throwing out names of particular people. But one thing I've noticed that it does seem to be like in the UK that there's the magnification, shall we say, of the UK. I'm gonna sound a bit snobby for this, but there are a lot of people that don't really pay attention to exactly what's going on, and what will happen is they will hear a soundbite which will perhaps, it will speak to their inner prejudice, as it were, and once they hear that one thing, then they will follow that person. And I know I'm rambling quite a lot at the moment, but I really don't want to be like reading off of a script. I want these thoughts of mine to be organic, more like a vlog or a diary or something like that, not just me reading, as it were. So it's very sort of all over the place, I understand that, but I think that makes me a bit more like honest, shall we say. So I'm gonna sort of, I'm skimming over quite a lot. I am going to say that the one thing, regardless of whether you are on the left, the right, in the middle, up, down, whatever, I think the main problem that we have now is that the capitalism is out of control. It is rampant. The gap between the rich and the poor, the haves and the have-nots, is growing all the time. The richest people in the world get richer every day by more money than I will make in my lifetime, and they're not paying their way, but they're using their wealth and their influence to basically get us to do the Spider-Man meme and all point at each other. I said something similar to this in my previous video, but I was more ranting in that video. I want to try and actually like talk in this one. So just to sort of give a cliff notes of what I think, I would class myself as, it's either a democratic socialist or a social democrat. I think I'm a democratic socialist. I believe that there should, to a certain extent, be a government, but that government is literally there to enforce the will of the people through votes. There are countries in the world that do this. I do believe that there are Scandinavian countries that do this, and Scandinavia has the highest quality of life ratings in the entire world. So it works. There's been so many things over the years that I've thought will work. It just involves the people at the top having a little bit less, and not bringing them down to my level either. Just a bit, you know, pay your way, pay the same as everyone else. You know, I pay my taxes, you pay your taxes. Elon Musk should pay his taxes, Jeff Bezos, Mark Zuckerberg, whoever. You know, if you want, over in the UK, Rishi Sunak should pay his taxes. All that we need to do is just take care of each other. But the problem is that there's a particular side of the political spectrum, in my opinion. Please remember, this is my opinion. At the moment, the dialogue on the right side of the political spectrum is almost, and to a certain extent the centre as well, I think it's only really like far left, which is probably where I sit, that don't care. But there's always talk about immigration, about people not from your land coming to steal your jobs and take up your tax money and all stuff like that. We can all look after each other. We are all just people. Like, the people that come to your country are no different from me and you. The only people they're different from are the people at the top, who are telling the people below them to point the finger at that person that doesn't look like you, rather than point the finger at them. Because, you know, what was that thing a few years ago where someone said that Elon Musk could solve world hunger, and he said, oh, I could do it, but no one's put the thing in front of me. Well, Elon Musk could solve world hunger and still be richer than he was at the start of this year. He just doesn't want to do it, because that is one less thing for everyone else to worry about that won't make people think, oh, well, hold on a second, why aren't we taking money away from these people? The problem is that capitalism is now a monolith, really. It's so deeply entrenched into the way that we do things. I engage in capitalism. Like, what am I supposed to do? Just go and live in the woods? I couldn't do that. I like my electronics too much. But every time someone pitches an ideology that isn't capitalism that could help people, it's immediately demonized by those who benefit the most from capitalism. You know, you could find thousands of clips probably online of people calling someone communist, fascist, socialist, Nazis. Well, if you know anything about political ideology, you would know that you can't be a communist and a fascist and a Nazi. They are opposite ends of the spectrum, like, if you know. But the people that say these things are banking on the fact that you don't know that. And it shows, because there are millions of people all over the world who don't know that, and who fall for the trap, for the, you know, they take the bait every time, and then they point the finger at someone who has done nothing wrong to them, whilst the people who are actually stopping them from benefiting and from prospering in life just keep going. Because while we're all shouting at each other, like I said before, they're just living the dream at the top. It ties into, so there's a couple of extra points that I sort of, there's two sides to my ideology argument. So I've sort of briefly covered politics. If you want me to actually do some research and maybe actually have a nuanced take rather than just ramble at my microphone, then tell me and I will see what I can do. But the other side of what I want to talk about, like, so, okay, there's two bits. So for years now, people, especially on the right, have been accusing people of being woke. Now, if someone told me I was woke, I would say, one, thank you, and two, define it. Because the dictionary definition of being woke is to be aware, conscious of, and against the mistreatment of people, and particularly racism and other, you know, social problems, as it were. Anyone that says that being woke is a bad thing probably doesn't know what it means, because it's been bastardized by right-wingers to make you sound like, you know, oh, you're soy or you're weak or whatever. Like, it's just empathy, compassion. It's just being nice. Like, it's being nice to other people, which you should do anyway. Like, oh, I don't know. That was a very short thing. So the main other point that I want to make when it comes to ideology, it's religion. So I believe, cards on the table straight away, I class myself as an atheist. I believe in science, logic, and reason. I don't, to a certain extent, have a problem with religion. In fact, one half of my family is very Catholic, and I have no problem with that. They go to church, they try to help people. You know, my nan had a picture of her with Pope John Paul II. Like, she had a church organ in her living room. You know, she was as Catholic gets. But she always just, she believed what she believed, and she wanted to help people. And she, like, there's nothing wrong with religion like that. The problem that I have is religion is being weaponized. It's being weaponized all over the world. There are some parts of the world that have weaponized it for hundreds of years, but the West is very much starting to really weaponize it now. A perfect example of this is, I tried to not say the name, but Donald Trump criticizing the Pope. And then the big MAGA people, like, I did see a clip of Sean Hannity saying that he's no longer a Catholic, he's just a Christian because the Pope disagreed with Donald Trump. And all that happened was, bearing in mind that this guy is supposed to be the speaker for God on earth, and all he did was say we shouldn't be fighting wars against each other. And that was enough to trigger hundreds of thousands, perhaps millions of people in America. Like, if you use your religion to bring down other people, you are not religious. You are using your religion to justify your dislike, your hatred, your animosity, your entrenchment. The words I keep coming back to. If you are a properly religious person, you are probably a nice person. But there are far too many people around the world who will use their, like, I mean, half of these people don't even practice what they preach. You know, people call themselves religious and then they cheat on their wives, they blaspheme, they murder. You know, they do everything. Like, we've got what is it, bearing false idols or whatever at the moment. Isn't that like the first commandment or something like that? But because it's done by your party leader or your cult leader or whatever you want to call it, oh, that's all right. I'm gonna pick a different part of the Bible to preach to people, or whatever holy text you want to talk about. Surely these people must see the contradictions in what they say. Like, they must see the irony in the way they treat other people, but then call themselves religious. Like, it's not a Facebook status. Like, if it is a belief that you have, then by all means, you do you. Like, I'm not going to judge you for believing. I will judge you if you think that you can then enforce that on other people. You have no right to do that. Right. The fact that the holiest man in the world, in my opinion, is being criticized for telling people not to basically weaponize religion and, you know, not to hurt each other, that's a good message. Don't don't demonize the Pope. I mean, literally demonize the holiest man in the world. Like, people have to see that. Like, I don't know. Like, obviously you can tell at the moment that a lot of my algorithm seems to be just shoving Donald Trump in my face all the time. I will talk about other things in the future that are not that, but I did particularly want to just ramble over politics, ideology, religion, that sort of stuff. So I think, sort of, for a parting thought, all I would say is love beats hate. Love is stronger than hate, and if we learn to love each other, and as I said in my previous video, if we just enjoy our small amount of time on Earth, we'll all be better for it. One last thing, actually, I just want to say thank you to all the people who commented on my previous video. It was incredible to actually have people from America and also someone from Chile just speaking to me and saying nice words. There were some really interesting points that people made, and it's quite humbling for me to know that there's people all over the world that have actually seen what I do. So I hope that you're here again, and if you are, thank you very much. Other than that, just let's all take care of ourselves and take care of each other. Thanks for watching.